You're watching Let the Quran Speak. Who is a Muslim? What really does it mean to be a Muslim? What sort of principles and practices must one abide by? And what does it mean to be religious? Can we tell who a Muslim is by appearance, or manner, or lifestyle? Can one be a non-practicing Muslim? And what sort of beliefs put an individual outside the fold of Islam? With me is Dr. Shabir Ali. Dr. Shabir, this is a fascinating question, and a lot of people ask it because there are all sorts of individuals who claim to be Muslim. Sometimes there are individuals who critique Islam but claim to be a Muslim as well. The question is, how do you define a Muslim?
This is not an easy question, and Muslim theologians have struggled with this throughout the ages. And they have arrived at a variety of definitions. On the strict end, one may present a set of beliefs and say that these are the beliefs of the Muslims. More specifically, they might say these are the beliefs of the Ahlul Sunnah, the people of the Sunnah, or the people of the Sunnah and Jama'ah, the community. And if one did not hold to these beliefs, then according to these theologians, then one would not be a Muslim. And most Muslims may not even be aware of these lists of individual items of belief. And so by such a strict definition, some of us may not actually qualify. And then on the other hand, at the loose spectrum, not so much loose, but it's not the right word, but maybe at the liberal end, or a more inclusive view, might say that if anyone subscribes to the kalima of Islam, which declares there is no God but God and Muhammad is the messenger of God, such a person is a Muslim. Sometimes it is said that the Ahlul Qibla, which means the people who pray in the particular direction of prayer that Muslims observe their prayer in, then that person is a Muslim. And some have just simply said that if anyone eats our slaughtered meats, then that person is a Muslim. So this is at the other end of the spectrum, the more inclusive sort of end.
Now, in modern times, one self-identifies as having a certain identity, and people accept that individual as such. So one says, I'm a Muslim, then people accept that person as being a Muslim, and other things as well. Would that work also?
I think this acceptance of self-identity is important. Otherwise, we place ourselves in positions of trying to judge others. And there's no limit to this. If we decide that we will judge if a person is a Muslim or not, or a Christian or not, or a Buddhist or not, then we have to have ultimate knowledge of all of these systems, and we have to know who is who and how to judge them. In terms of being Muslim, there are many aspects to being a Muslim. Some are outward, and the most important aspect is actually inward. And sometimes the outward may be taken as a sign of what is inward. If a person says certain blasphemous words, we may take that as a sign that this is what the person believes. And obviously, often the person is expressing what he or she believes. So if a person says, I don't believe I'm a Muslim, well, then we have to take the person's word for it. Or if the person says something that is equivalent to that, then one might say, well, this is a sign that the person does not really believe. But we have to be careful in drawing these conclusions, because people can draw conclusions from hints and from suppositions. One can assume that they know what's in a person's mind, but in the classical literature it is mentioned that if somebody utters something that is considered blasphemous, then it is not automatically to be taken that the person is a non-Muslim or that the person has reneged from the religion of Islam, but the person may be asked to clarify. And in fact, the doubts should be in his favor. You should assume that he means something good, or that he intends something different from the way in which the words sound. Because we all say things that do not come out the right way. And we must give other people the benefit of the doubt. In a worst case scenario, a person might be brought to the courts and asked to reclaim his words or retake his words that are considered to be blasphemous, or to distance himself from his actions that were so deemed to be blasphemous,
Mm-hmm.
and that person would be given time to repent and and he would be offered the opportunity to learn more. Theologians might be brought to speak with him so that he or she gets clarity on some of the doubts that he or she had.
Can one tell who a Muslim is by appearance or by lifestyle or manners, behavior perhaps?
One should be careful about drawing any conclusions about the Islamness of a person based on certain observed appearances or lifestyle. At the same time, there are certain things which are associated with Muslims, so that when we see these, we take these as visible signs that the person is a Muslim. For example, Muslims pray in a particular way at regular intervals throughout the day. So if a Muslim is seen doing that, then obviously he or she is immediately recognized as a Muslim. There are certain ways in which Muslims dress in some contexts, and so if those items of dress or manners or styles or extent of covering is observed, then one would know that this person is a Muslim. But we cannot say the contrary, that if these signs are not there, then the person is not a Muslim, because the person may have a very strong and deep faith that is internal to the person, and we're not in a position to judge that.
Now, can someone be a non-practicing Muslim, as in have the beliefs inside but not affect them in any way in terms of actions?
Yes, based on the broader definitions of what is meant by a Muslim, we would count all of these individuals as Muslims. Typically, a person may be born in a Muslim home. He or she knew their parents to be Muslims, and as far as I can recall, they are Muslims. But they haven't done anything specific that are known to be specifically Muslim things. They may be good persons at heart, they are kind, generous, they give some charity, and so on. But they haven't thought, okay, I'm doing this because I'm a Muslim. They might have thought, I'm doing this because I'm a good person. And if you ask them, are you a Muslim? They may say, well, yes, but not a practicing Muslim. So they are still Muslims. And what do we say to such individuals? Well, practice. Idris Tawfiq has written an excellent article about this that is found on the On Islam website, and that encourages us to be kind to such individuals, but also to try and remind them that there are certain practices of Islam which are very important, and so it becomes a kind of an anomaly for a person to say, I'm a non-practicing Muslim.
What puts an individual outside the fold of Islam?
Based on the broad definitions which I'm attracted to, not necessarily in those specific words, I would tend to retain within my view of the Muslim circle all of those people who say I'm a Muslim.
Okay.
At the same time, we know that there are certain basic beliefs of Muslims, and we would expect that all Muslims would have these beliefs. And in fact, wherever we look, we see that Muslims generally do. First, the belief in God, that there is only one God, a belief in that God has angels, and belief in His books, the revealed scriptures, in His prophets, such as Abraham and Moses and Jesus and the Prophet Muhammad, and belief in God's knowledge and control of all affairs, and finally belief in our accountability before God in a life after death. So these are core beliefs of Muslims. Then there are the important practices which are known as the pillars of Islam. One might be failing in one of these practices, but if one at least acknowledges these in principle, that yeah, I should be doing that, but for some reason I've been negligent, but God willing, one day I will do them, then one is still subscribing to these, and these are the important practices. One, to declare that there is no God but God, and that Muhammad is the messenger of God. That is closely related to the belief system, but here it's put in terms of an action. It's an open declaration. Two, the prayers, which are done regularly throughout the day. And three, giving charity, one of the important pillars of Islam. And four, observing the fast during the month of Ramadan, and not necessarily in this order. And fifth, the pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in a lifetime.
All right, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you for your time, Brother
You're
Shabir.
welcome.
We'll take a break. When we return, we will answer questions we receive from you, our viewers.